afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show. I am your grateful host. And in studio with me, Q Money Magic Man. What up, Q?
Another beautiful day in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Man, it certainly is. Guys, check us out at rumble.com. I want to see you over there. Shout out to all our listening and viewing audience. A special shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. We love you guys. Love everybody. Thank y'all for being with us on this wonderful Thursday. We got so much to talk about. And let's talk about something that everyone listening or everyone viewing understands pretty quickly. That's money. Everybody understands money. You got to have it, by the way, over 53, this is the point, over 53 million Americans, 53 million, just used at least one of Donald Trump's tax cuts this filing season. It's only April 16th, tax day yesterday. So the average refund, $3,400. It's pretty good. That's up 11%. Hey, and if you used one of those new provisions, you kept about $800 more of your own money. That's your average American citizen. So that's not any Washington spin or any kind of like Washington talk. That's real life. That's real. That's $3,400 average, up 11%, roughly $800 increase. That's like a bill being paid. Think about it. That's real stuff. That's groceries covered. That's a little breathing room for once. I bet a lot of us have felt that, like what the heck? Overtime deductions, because this is where it's coming from. A lot of this is where these tax breaks are coming from. There's several things. Overtime deduction, that's huge. That is a lot. So people staying late, what does that motivate? People staying late at work, putting in the extra hours and, finally not getting punished for it. Folks would work their tail off, get all this extra money, maybe in sales, make some extra. Well, that's not a good comparison, but all this overtime, putting in the extra hour, and then you get punished because your taxes go up. So hey, go for it. How about tip deductions? Huh? We don't even talk about that. We had Tim Metcalf in yesterday. One of his places is Dino's and Prejean's. They all get tips. They're waitresses and waiters. I bet they're pretty happy. That was a brilliant idea. That's why, say what you want. The policies are pretty solid. But tip deductions, man, you're talking, this, waiters, bartenders, service workers actually keeping more of what they earn instead of watching it disappear or start playing games with cash and all that stuff. Just report it. Let's go. Trump's deal, it took Congress to help him, obviously. But that leadership was there. Expanded child tax credit. How many folks out there raising kids? Probably a few. That hits everybody. Expanding the child tax credit, shoot, man, that's families trying to raise kids in a pretty doggone expensive world, getting some help. All right, man. Bigger standard deduction. That's pretty good. That's standard deduction. That's regular. That's regular folks, man. Regular folks not having to jump through hoops just to keep their own money. Seniors get relief too. This tax plan is not in the past. I don't know if maybe we didn't explain it well enough, or maybe it just didn't make as much sense. But this is like real. These are real Americans. These are real people that this affects, and that's why to have look, Trump can have a lot of criticism on that Jesus picture. I don't care for that too much. I don't care what kind of explanation you have. You shouldn't have done it. But on that same note, on policy wise, you can't really. It's hard to argue that the president's not looking for the little guy, looking out for the little guy. You can't, I don't think you can argue that reasonably. That's why the Democrat Party hasn't, they say they're for the little guy, but all they do is screw the little guy. And they keep him suppressed. They could have done all this for years if they loved the little guy. You want to help out the little folks. Why didn't you give the tax break? Why didn't you go help them out? But no. But Trump, look, man, his policies are helping the regular average American. This is one example. Just someone talk to him about his PR and his social media and his AI pictures. Jeez. All right, so bigger standard deduction. Okay, again, that's a big one. That's more of us keeping what we worked hard for. Seniors, got any seniors out there? Seniors are getting relief too. This hits across the board. You can feel that. So let's kind of get to the root of all this. Get to the bottom line. You know, this is kind of what conservative. I don't. For the most part, this is kind of what conservative economic policy looks like when it actually shows up in your life. You work, you earn, you keep more of it. Pretty simple, not hard, and people feel it immediately. I mean, nobody needs a lecture to understand an extra $800. That's real. You see it, you use it, you remember it. A lot of people open up their tax or getting their tax refunds or getting that amount saying, okay, that's different. That's different. So if we pause right there and we lean into this just a little bit more, we got some other stuff here. I mean, there's always going to be someone in Washington who thinks that they know how to spend your money better than you do. I ain't wrong. Some bureaucrat in some cubicle has some good idea fairy trampling on his or her forehead doing the moonwalk, and they think their sole existence is to freaking add regulations and spend your money the way that they want to spend your money because it's your money. They've got plans. They've got programs. They've got theories. Give me your money. I have a theory. I have to study it, though. How much money do you think we've spent in government on studies?
I think that we have spent more money in government on studies than we have on infrastructure.
Man, you ain't kidding.
How many times do I see an infrastructure project and I see the original price point?
Oh, gosh.
And then I see the price point of all the studies that have been done, each one showing how to do the project, probably close to the original price point.
Yep.
And yet it doesn't. Look at the bridge in Lake Charles.
Man, that's a great one. Look at I-49 connector.
Yeah.
And now it's over probably $2 billion. It was 1.2 when I got in office. And I kept thinking, like, what? Why aren't we doing this? Well, there's a study that came out, the CIS. What was that? Context infrastructure study. Some silly thing talking about people. It had no sense. It made no sense. It makes no sense because that's just one example. Okay, it's just one example.
And how many of the studies have like nothing to do with the actual infrastructure and have to do with like some type of social theory?
A large enough percentage for us to talk about it. And that's crazy, isn't it? Because you probably, I mean, back before all this soft infrastructure, which what the heck is that?
That is a good question.
Daycare, all that. Like, that's not soft infrastructure. I don't know what that is.
It's a service.
Yes, it's a tax-funded service.
I don't think anyone, when they think of infrastructure, thinks of daycare.
Right.
I think they think of ports, airports, and roads.
It's pretty easy.
Yes.
Probably a few drainage projects.
One or two.
One or two, you know, probably some stuff that helps actual real people. Man, these studies, dude, it's like, I'm convinced that either the folks in the office don't care and they just, here's your partners, let's pay your partners on the study. But man, I was always under the theory, this is how we live. But you see a need, you work with the folks to get it funded and approved, and you go to work. You put the shovel in the ground. If you don't put that shovel in the ground, you're going to keep studying and spending more and more money. I'm not against pausing and doing it right. That's different. That's due diligence. That's how you like designing the project. Keep studying it is like to keep designing a project. You just keep reading. Think about a roundabout.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to keep studying, like let's put it tangible. To keep studying and study and then study the next study that expired because this study needs to study where that study really did expire, and let's study some more. Money. Your money. Imagine a roundabout, okay? You design a dang circle, all right? And let's say we just keep redesigning. Oh, well, we just want this, we want a shrub right here. And this shrub is going to make sure we have to move pipes to get this shrub. I mean, I'm making stuff up. But it's that stupid, by the way. Look, I was in office. You could imagine the silliness that I heard in the executive, as an executive, on all the excuses of why we can't do something or why this should cost that much or why we need to study another study. That ended about 2 months into my office. When I finally was like, well, and I would always give them the time of day, you know, because that's the respect and the people deserve that, because I might be wrong. I'll go into it humble, try to, but nothing ever made sense. I would always ask simple questions like, okay, well, why? And I always start off with that. Well, why? Tell me why. I'm open to hearing what you're saying, but it's got to make sense. You know, you can't just, and I just pie in the sky reasons of I mean, you imagine. But in every scenario, the people requesting the study got paid. Like it's or they convinced some bureaucrat that it's a good idea and they game them. You know, like that's why it's just. Oof. I'm telling you, we better change some things. I don't know if we are. I hope we are. We were. I think the president is at the national level, but how long is that going to stick if we don't get another? If J.D. Vance or somebody like that doesn't get elected, then that could go away really quick. So we'll see. And if Congress would codify some of the president's executive actions, that would last further administrations as well. The executive order stays in place until it's not in place, even in administration. So it doesn't expire when Trump gets out. That's why you saw Biden erase all of Trump's executive orders. You saw Trump come in there, erase all the executive orders of Biden. That is not the greatest way to govern. That is not that's not consistency of government. That's not continuity of government. That is political crap. Okay? And that's the consequence of Congress not doing their job. If Congress passes a law, a president can't just roll up in there and say, oh, well, we're done with those laws. But executive orders, they can. So while we love the executive order in regards to Trump doing it in this context, which I support, if Trump wouldn't do these executive orders on immigration and on foreign diplomacy and some other things domestically, nothing would ever get done. Nothing would ever pass Congress. I think in this slim context, it's okay because he's doing things like this. I'm putting up the initiative. My lawyers say I can do it. And he can. It's debatable. So there you go. Okay, he had enough lawyers telling him it's legal, so you do it in good faith. All right, and then you know if Congress, you can the next day and override that. The same day, just like you could pass the funding for ICE if you wanted. The Senate just straight up rolled out. You saw that?
Yeah, they went on vacation.
Like here you go. Here's the Democrats' plan, and then they left.
Oh, and TMZ now has a bureau in D.C. And apparently Lindsey Graham, when they left, went to Disney World, and there was there was a pink wand, and it was blowing bubbles.
Get out of here!
And TMZ in the Capitol, following Lindsey Graham, was asking him about the bubbles and the wand. And it was some of the best reporting I have seen out of Washington. I got to send you the clip.
We're gonna have to see this, and none of me is shocked. Well, but he wants to bomb everything anyway. And I don't want to say that the wrong way because I think the president had to do what he had to do over there. But all right, guys, I'm getting the hand and arm signal. We'll be right back. We'll continue this topic and so much more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, if you haven't checked out Giles Volvo, go check out Giles Volvo. You see these Volvos all over town. You think luxury, you think technology, you think just cutting edge. You're right. And go to Giles Volvo and you can check it out. Man, I'll tell you what, you walk in, the staff treats you like family. And it's genuine. You can't fake the funk, okay? You know it's part of Giles Automotive, so it's going to be clean as it can be. You're going to have service that you can't compete with. And when I say service, over at Giles Volvo, it's not just when you buy the car. You're not just one and done. Like you go back and you get it serviced, they leave your car better than what you found when you brought it to them. And Bob Giles and them, they create a culture over there. They're going to take care of you. But if you haven't checked out a Volvo yet, or you've been seeing them around town, you're like, what's that funny symbol on the car that I don't see? I guess it's not too funny anymore because they're all over the place, more and more and more. But go visit Giles Volvo here in Lafayette, right off Ambassador Caffrey. You can't go wrong with that. And tell them that your friend Josh said hello. Let's go back to this tax break. See, you can use some of that and go put a down payment.
Yo.
But, I mean, look, regular folks, regular Americans know something real simple, okay? You manage your money better than the government ever will. You manage your money better than the government ever will. What program is running efficiently right now? Tell me. Tell me one federal program that's running efficiently. Like, I'm talking efficient. You're doing more with less. I have to define it, because, efficient, look at all of it. No, it's not efficiency. It's busy stuff. But bureaucrats don't know. They think if they're moving, they're working.
That is true.
It's like, I got out my chair. That's so not fair. Let me tell you, I work with some great people that worked in government. So not fair. Most people, hardworking folk, wants to do the right thing. I mean that. So, but we manage our money better than the government for sure, every single time. Every single time. Every single time. I mean, even the whole pitch on Social Security. Well, we got to do this because people won't save without us doing this. Maybe. That might have been the only one that you possibly could have objectively supported. But what did you do with that? You dipped into the cookie jar. You've used money that you didn't have. You've overburdened Social Security. You tax Social Security. We still taxing that, or did Trump get rid of that? I can't remember.
I think he got rid of it.
I think he got rid of that one. That's good. That's smart. Never understood that. You're going to tax your own money. Yeah. I mean, that's government for you right there. This is tax money we're giving you, and we're going to tax the tax money that's already been taxed. It's like this inventory tax here. Every local community in Louisiana should opt out of that inventory tax. You want to make your parish competitive? Get rid of the inventory tax. You want to create jobs? Do that. You want to not lose them? Because now that Louisiana, I think we're doing it parish by parish is my understanding. How easy is it to move operations? Yeah. You ain't talking about states? I'm just saying. It's a thought. All these Republicans out there say they're Republican and conservative, that you got an easy win. Get rid of the inventory tax. Just like in Lafayette Parish, voters are going to go vote, I think, on a millage on roads and stuff like that. The administration has $100 million more than the previous administration. We should be rededicating, not renewing.
Agreed.
You have all these mandated costs. You have all these millages that are going to things that probably are great. Put that in an ordinance. Go argue that with blue cards and the public, and you tell the public why you want to spend road dollars on a program. You go do that. But right now we're put in a position, because I'm a taxpayer in Lafayette Parish. We're put in a position now where we got to we're pressured at the last minute to renew. Well, it's not a new tax. You're just renewing it. Well, take the RE out. It's called new. If it's expired, it's no longer a millage. And therefore, when you vote to renew it, you're voting on a new millage. So instead of voting on new millages, why don't we rededicate some of the pie and sky millages and put it to infrastructure, and then the pie and sky monies, you go to the people and say, vote a millage. Why are we doing this? I'll tell you why. Because that's the way we've always done it, and that's how we pressure our voters into having these high millages that we don't need to have. If you just rededicate, I'm not anti-tax. Nobody's some people are, but we're not anti-tax. We're just anti-wasteful tax. We're anti-needless tax. We just keep giving money and money and money to the government, and we don't see any. Locally, you should see that stuff like that. You will. So you're either doing something or you're not doing something. But the folks don't understand because it's not talked about. How many millage discussions have y'all had? You know what I mean? No, the only thing that comes up, and I don't blame the media on this either, because it's just not a topic that people talk about a lot, but local governments and government in general, just like these amendments we're about to talk about. The amendments are a little different because we can talk. We have these podcasts, we have these radio shows, we have all these avenues to express our thoughts on those things at the state level before it hits the ballot box. But a lot of these millages, they just roll up in low turnout elections. They put them on a May ballot or an April ballot, and they say, oh, well, you know. And then I've heard of elected officials at the local level. Some people, well, I'll leave names out, but they like punish the people if they don't vote for a millage. Oh, you didn't want this in the parish. Well, the parish don't want this. Oh, you didn't want whatever. Like, what is no elected official? Your job right there is, I've listened to the people. Thank y'all. Okay. Even if you disagree, you go back to the drawing board. If you really feel passionate about something, you have data that you can support that'll help people, then spend 6 months talking to the folks. Go on KPAL, go on all the podcasts, go on all the places to talk to the people about why that should happen. And the only reason I know that is because I did it. Okay. Like, we had this millage create that we needed fire protection and road protection. So all we did is rededicate. We didn't go with a new millage. We didn't go with increased taxes. No, we went to the folks. We talked to them. We spent months on the radio and stuff. Dude, people are so much more smarter than government. You know, we're working. We're busy. We're raising a family. We're doing things. We're living life. But we pray for all those in charge, because I ain't going to be in it. Did my time. But let's keep this grounded, though, okay? Because there are real conversations out there about deficits and like spending, long-term planning. Those are all legit. I don't want to downplay them. But at the same time, there's a reason this is landing the way it is. All this tax cuts, and with the regular folks going back to DJT's tax breaks. You know, in America right now, people are tired of getting squeezed. People in Acadiana and across the great country and anywhere that's listening and viewing this, you know, we're tired of getting squeezed at every doggone angle. Prices go up, taxes don't go down. They do here. You know, it's like, I have my theories. But folks are tired of working more and more and more and feeling like they're falling behind. So when something actually lets them keep more of what they earn, they respond. Now, here's the next fight. And it's already coming, okay? These tax cuts are temporary. That's the problem. That means somebody's going to have to stand up and say whether they want to extend them or they want them to expire. That'll be a political battle coming up. That's not going to be hidden. That's not going to be, that's absolutely going to be front and center when it comes up, because it's already impacted regular folks, and regular folks are going to see that. And what would the Democrat Party say? Oh, we need it to fund, we need it because we need the revenue. That's other talk for government. They think it's their money. That's our pride. What? No, it's not. It never was. But once people have felt this kind of relief, because this is real, taking it away is a whole different conversation. That there's no more theory at that point. At that point, it becomes personal. So if we bring it home, if we bring it on home to Omeletville, you work hard, you take care of your family, you try to get ahead, and for once, a policy shows up that actually helps you do that. That's fantastic. That's why people are paying attention. That's why people are talking about it. And that's why this one is sticking. So I want you to stick around, because we're going to take a tiny little break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about those amendments. Man, I can't wait. Let's do it. Q, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, I tell you what, Q, I'm feeling good. You know why?
Why is that?
Dr. Kevin.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong. Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. Guys, go check him out, man. Look, if you're just not feeling, if you're just kind of groggy, that's the best way to say it. You know, you wake up and you're like, man, I'm tired of being in this fog, or I'm tired of just feeling a little sluggish. You know, you don't need to be an Olympian, go run triathlon, be a triathlete. Did I say that right? Yeah. You don't have to do all that to be in feeling good. It's great if you do. But go see Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. You know, me and my wife had some concerns over that vaccine, and you know, he had some good stuff on the detox of that. And I want to say stuff. I say it loosely. Obviously, he can break it down, and it's very methodical, very objective, very scientific. I mean, it's labs. It's stuff you can see and not just fluff, and I like that. But look, I don't know an ounce of what Dr. Kevin does. So 983-CARE, go see Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. He's here every week, and I just love the guy, and I think we could keep him on a week, Q, and just talk about RFK and his policies.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Dr. Kevin, you know, pretty conservative dude, but he's like RFK, he's loving it. You know, just more freedom, let people have more options. Don't just treat the symptoms. Even when RFK was saying something like, well, just eat real food.
Yeah.
I mean, eat an orange.
Take the modified junk out of the food system.
Exactly. Even, I use the Skittles. I love Skittles. Even Skittles in Europe is not the same as Skittles in America. I found that out through Dr. Kevin. And just the ingredients that we allow in our country, you know, we're supposed to protect our folks. We allow in our country that other countries don't allow. But we'll go regulate the heck out of some florists.
Yep.
Well, in Louisiana, you better not be cutting them flowers without a license. Don't you do that. Now let's go. Sad thing is true.
It is. It is.
Do other states have that?
We're the only state in the United States that regulates florists with an occupational license. And at one point, you had to go before a board and present your bouquets, and they had to rate them. So your speech was subject to government. Oh, I could spend hours talking about this.
I didn't know any of that. Wow. That's crazy. That's good. Hey, look, and it's not too far-fetched. We're going to cover these amendments right now. But that mentality, don't say that too loud, because somebody in Baton Rouge will put that nonsense in a constitutional amendment.
Yup.
Guys, we'll get on my horse here. Get on a little tangent. I mean this, though, and I know something we got to talk about. So the state constitution, Louisiana Constitution, is Louisiana Constitution of 1974. That is not that long ago. That's 52 years ago. It's not that long ago in constitutional law, even state constitutional law. It's just not that long ago. And it's been amended probably 4.3 million times. Maybe 2 million. But like, you know, every year we're voting on amendments. Guys, that is like statutes, okay? That is like regular laws, except the lawmakers aren't writing it. They're doing the Pontius Pilate. You do it. I wash my hands of this. Ooh. Oh, don't get mad at me. The people wanted it. Well, you don't even give the people a real shot at understanding it.
True.
I mean, how many double negatives and triple, quadruple, whatever's after that, negatives in a description of a constitutional amendment do we have? Or do we need to have? Why don't just write it in English? Does a yes vote mean a yes or no? Or if I vote yes, am I saying I want it? Or am I voting yes and I say I don't want it? It's so tricky, and they know that. They know that. So, the Constitution of America has only been amended 27 times. The first 10 have come at once, so it's really 18 times they revisited the Constitution, and one of them they were redoing. One of them they caught their mistake of using the Constitution as a book of statutes, and that was with Prohibition. So really, you wipe that one out, you're down to like 16 or 17 times. That's how you work a Constitution. The Constitution of Louisiana should mirror the Constitution of the United States, plus a little bit. And I mean a little bit. It should do two things. A Constitution should do two things, and that's it. Create the government and protect the people's civil liberties. Anything else should be in a statute. anything else should be in a statute, or don't call it the supreme law of the land. Just call it the elevated statutes voted on by the people. You got the people statutes and you got the legislator statutes. And the people statutes who are given the information in piecemeal and through politics and through anything but objective presentation, except for at the Josh Guillory show, of course. We're about to give it to you. There are plenty of platforms like this talking about it. But for these radio shows like this, these microbreweries, all of us collectively, because one of us can't do it all at once, because it's just the way that the way that we've morphed in communication, the way that we're getting news. It's and I like it. I'd much rather have 100 news and podcasts like on radio and podcasts and streaming like KLFY Plus. I'd much rather 100 of those in a state than one or two sources that are just controlling all the information. So, and that's not a knock. I love our regular, I understand our regular media folks, our regular mass media folks. I'm giving you so much grace that I think you deserve, because it's 2026 and it's not fair to these journalists. It's reality, but it's not fair to these journalists that really did put the time in to go to school and learn the professional rules and conducts and ethics and journalism, objectivity. Really stinks for them that now we're in a culture where it's like clickbait. You got to get the ads. You got to keep up. So the product becomes watered down and is nothing but yellow journalism in a lot of parts. But it's not anybody individually. It's not the station managers. It's not the editors. Although the editors sometimes with their headlines can be deceiving. But it's not even the editors. It's not the journalists. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's going to take us a few years to get through that. And I think we're doing that on shows like this. And we're just able to fact check and be raw. And look, man, if we don't know something, we'll tell you. And if we're wrong, we'll come back and say, and I was wrong on the inventory stuff. So it's not a law yet. We're going to talk about that. It's one of these amendments. So I knew I read it. Now, Amendment 1. Okay, so we got some votes coming up. We got 5 of these state amendments that we want to break down here. So Amendment 1. Amendment 1 would be a yes vote. So you go in there and you vote yes. A yes vote would let the Louisiana legislature add or remove positions from the unclassified civil service by law, shifting some control over protected state jobs away from the civil service system and towards lawmakers. All right. My understanding of this is, so you got civil service. Civil service was designed in good faith. Civil service it's almost like tenure for the college professors. That too, I'm sure, was started in good faith and it morphed into something that it shouldn't be. Civil service, for the most part, protects employees of the government from getting axed because they don't align with the administration's politics. So if you got a big conservative coming in and you have someone that's uber liberal, that uber liberal person, as long as they're doing their job, shouldn't be threatened with their job just because of their philosophies. That's what civil service basically does. So it takes politics, it takes subjectivity, supposed to, out of the situation. It needs to be changed. It doesn't need to be eliminated. It needs to be changed. This right here would take it out of civil service realm and put it into elected officials. Lawmakers would then approve manning tables, basically. They kind of do that already in the budget. This just goes a little bit further. I think a yes vote is good on that. I think A1, Amendment 1, is I think we could be safe with that because we got to try something different. I don't know if this is the answer, but I do think that this answer, putting it in lawmakers, putting it in our legislators' hands, I'd much rather that than a bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is not elected. If a legislator wants to go in here and justify his or her vote on that, they can. But in bureaucracy land, you can't. Okay? What you think about that civil service stuff? A1, pretty safe?
Absolutely. I think the civil service system has needed reform for a long time.
Yeah.
I think this opens that door to allowing smart and careful reform, but reform nonetheless.
And in the public.
and in the public.
I know everybody's not rolling up into these committee hearings and floor votes and stuff like that, but it is public. You have that opportunity to do it. And even if you don't take that opportunity and go watch it personally, when these lawmakers are out of session, you can go talk to them. They probably can't wait to talk to you.
I agree.
I would, and I'll tell you, most of these legislators that I know, they would love that. They welcome that. I mean, these guys want to. I mean, for the most part, I think they want to help folks. So
I agree.
It's not even the legislators' fault. I mean, the way that our Constitution is written, we're very, very heavy in certain areas of the government. That nothing personal, nothing doesn't make one person bad or good. It's just puts these legislators in a spot where they are limited in some aspects, but not limited. They don't have. I mean, they can do stuff. So that's what we're talking about, and they are with this. So Amendment 1, I think, is a safe yes vote. I'm getting some stares over there. You about to give me the hand and arm signal? I got it. All right. We're going to take a tiny little break. When we get back, though, we're covering the rest of these amendments. I can't wait. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my boy over there, Keith Kishbot, Kishbot Construction. I know this personally, man. I'm telling you, you got some construction needs, go call my friend. He'll shoot you straight. Like, if it's going to be like a really expensive, trust me, I've asked him, if it's going to be a really expensive project, he tells you. And look, he would make more money doing it.
Yo.
But he just says, like, hey, this is going to be this, and this. Why don't you consider this? Why don't we go get an architect, or maybe you don't need one? I don't know. But he tells you the truth, and he leaves at Kishbot Construction. They leave the construction site better than what they doggone found it. And I've had Kish and this crew do work at my office, at my house, and I see them all over the community. This is a great company. Kishbot Construction, local company by a good American patriot. My boy Keith Kishbot, he's a guest host every once in a while. We love when he comes on. Doesn't hold back. Him and Metcalf, they don't. I'm like, you guys are y'all. What you see is what you get, man. I like that. All right, so Amendment 2. So a yes vote. A yes vote would let the new St. George so St. George is in East Baton Rouge Parish. East Baton Rouge Parish is a consolidated government. St. George broke away. They seceded from the Union. They became their own city. All right, cool. So St. George wants their own school system. That makes sense. I guess that would be kind of like an independent school district. Not necessarily. Independent school districts are really in their zone. Well, actually, you know what? They all look kind of different. So, but it's smaller government, smaller control. And you see this, ironically, in a lot of Democrat states. And that's very much a Republican philosophy, and it works. There's a reason why their education numbers are higher than ours. They're using conservative philosophy. Don't tell them they'll change. I mean, think about it. All they're doing is shrinking government. They're saying the decisions should be made at the neighborhood level, not the state level, not the parish or county level. And that makes sense, So this Amendment 2 would let St. George create a community school system that would operate with the same constitutional funding and taxing authority as a parish school system, which would basically create a separate public school district from East Baton Rouge Parish. I vote yes. And not because I support necessarily what they're doing. I do, actually. I really think it's a smart decision. And I think there's a difference. I know I'm going to get some pushback from some folks. There's a difference between a consolidated government and a school district. It just is. It just is. It's one's government, one's teaching kids. Use it. I think that we should I think we should have a bunch of small independent school districts. I think we should have a bunch of independent school boards, for example, like smaller. So think of teacher-student ratio. Like Como High School, I know that's a big local one here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Okay, and I'm speaking of Kish, he's on the front end of that, fighting hard. But Como, why are the people in the northern part of the parish voting on something like that? Why? And in Youngsville, why are they voting on something in the north side, like a north side high school, the Vikings? I'm just saying, not that we can't, because there are strength in numbers too. Okay, but it seems like the end of student teacher ratio is what I use it, what I look at it as. Now you go to a consolidated government, you're talking about massive overlap and efficiency of resources, doing more with less under the right circumstances. It doesn't work. Consolidated government may not work for Vermilion or I don't know, Caddo Parish. I don't know if Caddo's, they're not. You get what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, in some parishes it does. I don't know. But in this case, I mean, as a conservative, I want a city to be able to control their own destiny. I would much rather and look, and I don't know what the consolidation is in East Baton Rouge Parish, but if you look in Lafayette Parish, all 6 municipalities maintain their autonomy. It's not like it's not like the folks in Broussard are telling the folks in Scott what to do. On parish level things, there's a unique overlap, but it's unique to this parish. I don't know if that's the dynamic in East Baton Rouge Parish, but if you have a city that wants to do something, and their community says, we'll even fund it, but let us pay our taxes to our stuff, what's wrong with that? More power to you. And as freedom-loving conservative Louisianans, we should all want that. Hey, look, so I'm voting yes on A2, Amendment 2. I think that's great. Go help those folks in St. George, and maybe that'll spread across our state and have some more independent school districts and things like that can maybe help out with the whole overall system. But stick around, guys. Hour number 2. I can't wait. We're going to keep on with these amendments and talk about so much more. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Josh Guillory Show. Man, we are going to rock it out with these amendments a little bit more. Let's keep on talking. I was about to go to Amendment 3, but Q told me something in the break that just piqued my interest. What's this about St. George and the school system? And just to put everybody up to speed, we're talking about the 5 amendments, the state amendments to the Constitution that will be on our ballot. We're on Amendment number 2. Amendment number 1 talks about civil service, puts more power in the legislature as opposed to the civil service system. I support that. It's something new that could curb some of these bureaucrats from having so much control and obstruction of administrative policies that perhaps lawmakers would be better suited to reclassify some of these positions. So that's one of many reasons why. I think a yes vote on Amendment 1 would be safe. Amendment 2 allows St. George to create its own, it's a new city, and now they're just saying, hey, we want our own school board too, our own school district as well. And I say yes, but now you had some interesting facts on St. George.
So St. George did not start off wanting a city. They just wanted a school district that would do a decent job educating their kids. And they were repeatedly told no, they faced unreasonable obstruction to achieving that goal. So they said, okay, that's fine. We'll just create our own city. And then we'll get a school district.
Right.
So this amendment really is the culmination of over a decade of effort. And I think they deserve their own school district at this point.
Well, absolutely. And I think that this could be, a model. But Zachary has its own school district, I believe, and I think Zachary is in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
So what's going on over there in East Baton Rouge Parish?
It is a very strange form of consolidated government, to say.
Every charter is different.
Right.
Everyone, and there's similarities, but everyone's different. So I don't know the ins and outs of the East Baton Rouge charter. Okay, I know the Lafayette one pretty well, but that's Lafayette, But that's interesting about St. George. So their initiative, they just wanted to educate their folks. They wanted to say, look, man, I'm tired of sending money all over this parish. Our kids here aren't getting the education that we want.
Right.
And you know what the domino effect of that's going to be? And the school board and the parish may not even know this. You're going to have a better product. You're going to, more than likely, I tell you what, you kind of only have one direction.
Absolutely.
So you try that. So now you have like Zachary, St. George. What if you do Baton Rouge? Get your own. There's a lot of money there. You could really fund your teachers well, and we don't have to do this other amendment we're about to talk about,
And that's the root of the issue, is Baton Rouge wants to retain that funding and pull that money out of St. George, and it's effectively diluting the educational system for the kids of St. George.
Exactly. And you could have better quality for multiple cities. And I'm just saying it's something to look at. And this would be more of a crawl, walk, run because probably we're still in the crawl phase because there are other independent school districts. I'm calling it independent school district. I know there's a different name for it, I'm sure, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're working independently outside all these other boards, all these other entities. So the folks of St. George are like, I want my own school system. They have their own police department.
Yep.
They police their place. They have their own public works department. They have all their other things. Now this would be an independent community school system, which that's fine. It's not falling underneath St. George City. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Look, a lot of folks would push back on that. Oh no, you need an independent. That's fair. That's fine. Everybody comes to this table with their own experience, okay? And I know that in my experience, I remember having conversations with school board members. I'll leave their names out because they can get in big trouble for saying that politically, I guess. I don't know. But I've had school board members that were open to having these more independent type entities and even open to municipalities taking the lead. I am not advocating that for every municipality. Every municipality shouldn't be doing that. And maybe no municipalities. Maybe I'm totally wrong on this. But what I do know is we battle for 49th and 50th in the country all the time. I get it. We have new numbers out there. We're in the mid-30s or high 30s, low 40s, something like that. Better than 49 or 50.
Yeah, but is that because we got better, or is it because the other school systems got worse?
Or is it how we rated? There was a lot of I don't want to downplay it because there's a lot of people that work hard to improve our education. I don't want to take their efforts lightly because a lot of it has been helping. I just know, you know what? I don't like, I'm going to be nice. I don't like dumb policies. I don't like dumb policies. I don't like dumb approaches. I don't like inefficient approaches. It bothers me. Inefficiency bothers the heck out of me. He's laughing because he knows me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's like a waste of time, and God only gives you so much time.
Yo.
So education. This ain't hard. You have models across the country. Crazy thought. Take the top 5. Just take the top 5. What are they doing? What are they doing? And just do that. Because those top 5, their teachers get paid a lot, and they don't need a constitutional amendment. We're about to talk about that. Their education numbers are high. They have better student-teacher ratios. We can't do that. St. George is trying to. And we got people blocking them at every angle, from within and from outside. Because the system is good to a lot of people, except for the people that it's designed to be good for. But don't get mad at anybody individually. This is a collective effort over decades that we've just allowed. We've allowed big government to creep in every part of our lives. I'm not against every parish-wide school board. It makes sense in a lot of parishes. But for areas that it doesn't, and you can get a better product, The only pushback to this, to St. George and other places trying to do these independent school districts, is money. That's it. And it's sad. We saw that with the Gator program, which I think is a great program. The governor initiated that. The legislature jumped on it. There was some pushback. I don't know where it's going to go this session because the governor wanted increased funding, which I think is a great idea in that regard. Give parents a choice. But anywho, those are all done at I say local, the state statute and executive level, okay? Not at the constitutional level. But these first two seem to be pretty good ones. Okay, so I'm voting yes on both those two. Now let's go to Amendment 3. All right now. I love teachers. Let me preface everything. Let me say all the things I have to say so I can roam free around the country. Southwest, ding, you're now free. all the things I have to say so that it doesn't come back and bite me in 45 years. I support teachers more than hard. You ain't gonna find someone that supports them more than I do. Supports though, not just wasteful money. Supports. Okay, I love empowering two groups in education. I love empowering the parents, and I love empowering the teachers. I'm not knocking all these unions and these state boards and all this stuff, but I just, at this point, don't believe that you serve collectively, not individually, but collectively, I don't think you serve educating kids at all. I don't think you empower kids. I don't think you empower teachers collectively. All right, so let's go into Amendment 3. So a yes vote on Amendment 3 would fund permanent raises of $2,250 for teachers and $1,125 for support staff by using money from several existing education trust funds to pay down teacher retirement debt and redirect the savings. All right. Thought. I love the part about rededicating. You saw that? Support staff, it's trust funds to pay down each, basically rededicating. All right. So I love the part of paying down the teacher's debt service, okay, to their retirement system. I love that part. That's fan-doggone-tastic, okay? How about just do that? And then, legislature, if you feel that teachers need a $2,250 pay raise, put it in a statute. The rest of their salary is not in the Constitution. The rest of their salary is in statute. It's you vote on that, as you should. But now you're going to lock in this expenditure at the highest level of government, our supreme law of the land, the Constitution. You're going to lock in these mandatory appropriations when I'm not against the appropriation. I'm against you putting it in the Constitution. Because even though this is probably done in very good faith for good reasons, you will not be in office forever. But this constitutional amendment pretty much will. Pretty much will be. Who's going to come back and say, hey guys, we appropriated actually another $5,000 for teachers, so we don't need that $2,250 anymore? Who's going to say that?
Nobody.
Not a single lawmaker. Not a single lawmaker. Why would they? It would crush them politically. So what I would do if I was the legislator, I would, and I'm not, but if I were, I would drop a bill right now, and I would give them a pay raise of $5,000 a year, because I think they need it. I would also look at recruitment and standards and how we inspect what we expect to make sure that we're getting the best quality too. You know, that maybe that's that civil service thing we talked about. But no, that's really not. It's not a good comparison. But same mindset. But I would drop it for $5,000 and say no to this amendment because it'll lock us in on how many other. Okay, I love teachers. I love them, and I'm sorry for all the heck I put you through growing up. Okay. But I certainly appreciate all my teachers and all the teachers out there. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. Great human beings. Okay. What other profession has the state constitution guaranteeing them pay raises? What about public works folks? You know, or Department of Transportation or whoever. What about those guys? What about the guys that build bridges and build roads and clean ditches and all that stuff? What about the guys and gals that actually, you know, that also help their communities? They don't get a constitutional protection. They don't get $2,250. And you can argue back, well, yeah, but we're there teaching the youth. And agreed. I don't want them to get a $2,250 pay raise. I want them to get a $5,000 pay raise. And I want it to be statutorily created so that if things change in the future, lawmakers can change it quickly in a legislative session to include even a special session, but not with these constitutional amendments. So I'm voting no on Amendment 3, and I preface that with voting no on Amendment 3 with the strong desire of teachers to get more of a pay raise than what they're offering here, because this is crumbs. What is $2,250 divided by 12? You see what I'm saying? 24 would be 200, right? Yeah. So $200 a month, less than $200 a month, you're buying votes. And you're buying votes so the less than 200 a month, it's real money, and I don't want to downplay that. But for the damage you're doing policy-wise, I don't think this is a conservative, I don't think it's good government, but I don't think it's a conservative approach. I don't think there's anything conservative about this. If you want the teachers to get a pay raise, give them a pay raise right now. Why are you talking? Why are you talking and not doing? And this is the kind of stuff, though, because I know the amendment is more than just the 2 sentences or whatever it is on the description. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that go in there, and it makes me feel like they just put the teacher stuff up there in front to trick everybody to voting for it.
Yup.
And so to me, because I'm telling you, my dad taught me a long time ago, if you don't know what's in the bill, or you don't know what's in the amendment, or you don't know what's on the ballot, then vote no.
Yup.
Because it's the people that want to change the whole. This is our supreme law of the land in Louisiana, outside the U.S. the U.S. Constitution. So before you go and change that, if you have the burden of explaining it and convincing us. And so far on Amendment 3, and I love our teachers, I wish they got more of a pay raise than what they're giving. $2,250 ain't even enough. At least $5,000. Now I would address some other things too, but you do that at the statutory level. All right, guys, we'll move into Amendment 4 when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, go check out my friends over there at Giles Volvo. You can't go wrong. You see the symbol all over town. You see the cars all over town. You kind of question maybe if you've ever driven in one or ridden in one. I hear this is a luxury vehicle, but it doesn't always have the luxury price. That's what I love about it. But it's more than just the Volvo. When you go to Giles Volvo, yes, you're going to get one of the best vehicles in the country and the world. We know that, okay? What separates them, though, is their service and their commitment to actually bringing you value. If you're looking for something, they're not gonna try to convince you into something else. They're gonna talk to you about it. They'll present some truth. They'll present some things for you to consider. But I love their showroom. I love their lot. They're so organized. But man, after you buy a Volvo at Giles Volvo, it's not just you're one and done. These guys take care of you as long as you want them to, and they pride themselves on leaving your vehicle when you bring your vehicle and you bring your Giles Volvo to Giles Volvo, okay? And they're looking at it and they're maintaining it. They're going to leave your vehicle better than what you dropped it off with. And they have so many options over there with warranties and things like that. Just go check them out. Giles Volvo. You at least owe it to yourself. You got some time this weekend or maybe this afternoon, just swing by. They ain't going to pressure you. That's a cool thing. So go check them out. Giles Volvo. And if you see my dear friend Bob Giles, you go tell him hello. And if I know at Giles Subaru, he has a printout when he was in Time Magazine, which is pretty cool. So go take a selfie with him. All right. I think Bob blushes when I tell people that, but he's a humble guy. I love him. All right, Amendment 4. We're talking about the state amendments. So far, we got Amendment 1 and 2. I think it's a safe yes vote. Civil service on 1 and St. George school system on 2. Amendment 3 puts permanent pay raises and I can end with that. Okay? Amendment 3 to our Constitution puts permanent pay raises. Just end with that. You can vote no at that point. You don't have to know what it's for after that. Once you hear in the Constitution that we're funding anything, okay, with a dollar amount and it's in perpetuity, just vote no. Because that can be done statutorily. And if something can be done statutorily, not saying you don't elevate it to a constitutional level, sometimes you should, but is this one of them? Because you got a lot of state employees. What other state employees outside of firemen are included in the state constitution? I think it's constitution for the firemen, that 2%. It might be statutory. State law, I know that. So it's just something to ask. I love teachers. I want them to get way more than a $2,250. It's crumbs what they're offering them, but what they could get. They could double that. They could have $400 in their pockets every month, not $200, and it's less than $200. So I think these teachers should get a $5,000 pay raise, not a $2,250 pay raise, but not in the Constitution. And to offset that, you should cut spending and offset it. I'm telling you, you can walk in some of those agencies with a blindfold and a stick and find the savings that you need. I'm just saying. All right, there's 5 of them. So Amendment 4. Amendment 4 to the Louisiana Constitution of 1974. A yes vote would allow each parish to decide. A yes vote would allow each parish to decide whether to reduce or eliminate local property taxes on business inventory, with the state providing certain offset payments and related property classification changes. Yes. An overwhelming yes. And I was wrong. I misspoke earlier in the show about inventory. I thought this had already passed. I apologize. So it's a constitutional amendment. This should pass with flying colors. Now, right now, inventory taxes, when a business owns property, okay? Take a pipe yard. The business buys all that pipe right then and there, and they pay taxes on it. You would think you're done. When I bought this pen, I paid my taxes. Well, that's a bad example because if it's in my office, I got to pay taxes on it again. Anything you pay, anything you buy, if you own it, you got to pay an inventory tax every year on what you already own. That's almost like a value tax, a fixed, like this poor little lady that's on fixed income and 80 years old. She shouldn't even have to pay ad valorem taxes, in my opinion. They should be exempt, But it's like you paid off your mortgage, you paid off, you have minimal bills and you're on a fixed income, but yet you got to keep paying taxes on something you've already paid taxes on. That's a very equivalent. So the inventory tax scares away business. Think about it. I'm going to use the pipe yard example again. You could put a pipe yard all over the state. But if you have a choice where I'm just saying, St. Landry, for example, I don't know if St. Landry's going to do this or not. They shouldn't. They should eliminate it and invite a whole bunch of manufacturing jobs over there. That's what I'd be doing if I was St. Landry. Be like, yeah, you know what? I got all this land. Like, let's go. No inventory tax. I would be looking at places like Lafayette, because I don't think they're going to do it. Lafayette, I would look at them and say, we are right by you. Remember Evangeline Downs? You too can be Evangeline Downs. You just move right up north, manufacturing jobs. You don't have to pay any. You can have all the inventory you want. You can stack all the cars and the pipe and the whatever other gadgets and gizmos you got. But that's crazy. These businesses pay for their things. That's a legal term. Things. Immovable or movable property. It is. They pay for these items once and they pay the taxes on it. But yet we got to keep paying and keep paying and keep paying and keep paying. And it's not just pipe and things like that. It's your professional services too. Whatever you own, office furniture, you're paying taxes on it. First tax bill I got on inventory tax when I opened my law firm, I was like, what is this? Wait a minute, I already paid my taxes. What is this? My wife had to explain to him, like, that doesn't make sense. She's like, well, you got to pay it. I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. You got to pay it. So a yes vote here on Amendment 4, I think is needed. And here's my question. How much time we got?
About 15 seconds.
That ain't right. When we get back, we're going to talk about it. But look, I'm curious on what parishes are going to jump on this and what parishes won't. I assume it's going to pass. I hope it passes. Who would vote against that other than people that are told one thing that's not true? We're not going to be able to fund any roads if you don't do this. Little Johnny's not going to get any schooling if we don't do this. Scare the heck out of people. All right, we're going to take a tiny little break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Amendment 4 a little bit more, maybe dive into Amendment 5, and I can't wait. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, we would ordinarily have our phone lines up. I should have announced that. We don't have them up today, but it's all good, man. I miss you guys so much, but it is a wonderful, wonderful Thursday here, this April 16th. So we're talking about amendments. First, man, let me tell you about my friends over there at Stan's Auto for all your automobile needs. I'm serious. From oil change to doggone replacing tires, replacing fenders, replacing an engine. Go to Stan's Auto. If they don't got it, they'll find it really quick. That's their supply chain, by the way. They must have like a direct source, because I'm telling you, I've brought several of our vehicles in, and it's quick.
I've been in there, and they were talking about getting parts for like a 1970s Mercedes.
That's cool.
Within days.
That's crazy, man.
I don't know how they do it.
Well, they've been in business for a while. They've created their relationships, and they have their efficiency. So yeah, tips of the trade over time. And and dear Sterling, my buddy over there, he is always in a good mood. But the whole team is over there. And remember, there's 2 locations. So if you're in Lafayette, go to the one by Reds off of Johnson Street and Ducey Road. If you're in the Iberia area, the new Iberia area, go check them out. It's right off of Admiral Dole. You can't miss that. It's one of the exits off of Highway 90. So go check them out. Man, we're talking about these amendments that we're going to vote on. So just a little recap. Amendment 1 talks about reclassifying civil service, puts authority more so outside of civil service realm and inside the legislature. We got to do something different. We don't need to eliminate civil service, but tweaking it a little bit where there's accountability in the elected officials and less accountability in the bureaucracy as far as like who's overseeing it. I like that because legislators are elected, and we can talk to them probably a little more easily than someone just doing their job in civil service. Not that they wouldn't talk to you. They can't on some of it. So Amendment 2 would allow St. George to get their own education system. Yes, absolutely. I'm voting yes on that. Amendment 3, I'm going to give you good intention. Okay, you had good faith. You let's just assume that people are operating in good faith and want the teachers to have a pay raise and support staff to have a pay raise. It's less than $200 a month. It's less than about $90 on the staff side a month. First of all, no, none of these extra funding for salaries should be in our state constitution. If you want to do it now. You're in session. Drop a bill on Louisiana Capitol Hill. Bam. You know what I mean? If you want to give them a pay raise, give them a pay raise. But don't put that in the Constitution. So I'm voting no on that. And I'm prefacing it. I think the teachers should get a $5,000 pay raise, not a $2,250 pay raise. $5,000 right now. And do it legislatively right now while you're in session. Right now. Why not? Do you not want to? Because right now you're putting us voters in the corner. Oh, we don't love teachers if we vote no. Bull-loney. If you love your teacher right now, legislator, if you really love your teachers, give them a $5,000 pay raise right now. Right now. Don't wait. Don't do the Pontius Pilate and wash your hands of it and give it to the people. We elected you. We pay you a little salary. You go up there and you make the changes. You make the tough calls. You can do it. You made this one. You allowed us to put it on the ballot. All right, Amendment 5. Q has been waiting patiently. All right, so Amendment 5, a yes vote would raise Louisiana's judges' mandatory retirement age from 70 years old to 75, while allowing a judge who turned 75 during a term to finish that term. So you could get elected at 74 and a half, you get sworn in at 75, you can rock it out to your 81.
Ew.
Okay, so you don't like, so Q's like, you like the age. Would you go lower? Would you go lower than 70?
You know, I was just thinking that, and I don't think I would. I think 70 is a good point, but going to 75, what other profession where something is critically important, where decisions are being made that are going to impact people's lives, do we put it in the hands of someone that is at that age? Now, I have no problem with legislators or maybe even the executive branch, but to me, judges, it's a memory thing.
Oh,
the amount of information that has to be retained, it's a lot. And I don't know, once you start moving past that 70 mark, whether or not they're able to do that.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I hear what you're saying. And the intent behind the age limit on judges is probably just that. And it's like, we got to cap them at 70 because, maybe they're losing. I don't know. Just to this day and age, 70 seems so young.
I can see
in this
that.
day and age. So 75 to me is like, I'm okay with that. And here, but I hear what you're saying. And if people, I think this one is a coin flip. I'm not going to be upset if it passes. I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't pass. I'm just going to kind of I'm chewing on this one a little more. So I'm undecided on 5.
I am a hard no.
You're a hard no. A lot of people are hard no's. A lot of people are hard yes. All right, so to counter that, a lot of people say, well, what about the wisdom? Yeah, you're right. Maybe we won't retain as much. But I got to tell you, I got some judges that I'm in front of that are over the 70-year mark because they started their term, and where they don't have to retire once it's in their term. And I have some judges that I'm in front of that are in their low 70s, and they're sharp as a tack. And I think that's a sample size. It's a small sample size, but I'm just giving you my experience. And there's some people could say, well, there's a lot of wisdom with that. There's a lot of life experiences. That extra 5 years, it's not gonna, because you still can remove people for certain things. If they don't have their whereabouts, then there's approaches that can be made already in the judicial canons and in our ethics rules. What you looking at? I ran out of time? No, I got more on this. You got more on Come on. All right, guys. So these amendments, Amendment 1 and 2 and 4, I think those are safe yeses. Amendment 3, look, if you want to fund salaries in our Constitution, this is the bill for you, but I do not like it, okay? I want the teachers to get more of a pay raise than what's being offered, and I want it done statutorily, not in the Constitution, so I'm voting no on A3, Amendment 3. Amendment 5 on the judges' ages. Hey guys, just look into this a little bit more. We could talk about it more before it's all up for vote. But that's all the time we have today. Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday is happening today, and I can't wait. Stick around. We'll be right back.